this saying, I think it's international, that you can actually come to any other person in the world through, I think it's three handshakes.
Yeah,
Is it five
degrees
handshakes? So I've always dreamed about somehow getting a little bit closer to Candace Owens. And now, since you've spoken to Candace Owens, I think my dream is coming true. Mr.
I've even
Prager,
hugged Candace Owens.
Welcome
so
to Hungary.
Yes, that's great. I'm happy to be a conduit for
right.
you to
Thank
Candace.
you so much.
She's
but on a more serious note, we saw your lecture here yesterday and the discussion that you took part in today, and we're really happy to have you here and to hear all the important insights that you have given us, one of which was really interesting to me. This happened yesterday in your speech when someone asked you, or you raised the question of whether you're an optimist or a pessimist, and you said that you're definitely not a pessimist because pessimists refuse to fight anymore, and optimists don't fight because they feel like they're winning.
Right, I'm neither.
And you're neither,
right.
And you're fighting because that's where you need to be.
Yes.
Does this mean that there is that the United States is at a, whatever word we want to use, at a junction?
It's at a tipping point.
Tipping point,
that
whatever.
Is correct,
where
yes.
we need to fight and we can actually lose, and the world as we know it, or the America as we know it, can go down the drain.
That's correct. America's an idea. The left is making a war on the idea, and it's winning. That's just a fact. It's a sad fact. People, amazingly, don't appreciate what they have. This is not new in human history. If I had to define leftism with one word, I could choose many words, but the one I would choose is ingrate. Every leftist is an ingrate, and that's a very low form of humanity, to have ingratitude. Americans should wake up every day and say a thank you to God, or to whatever God they believe in, that they are American. To have the opportunities, the freedom, the affluence, compared to nearly all the rest of the world. But they don't. They tear it down. And look, I have always said the most important lesson is people are not basically good. You cannot build a good society if you think people are basically good. Because
you need law and order.
For law and order, and just to understand that evil is normal. The only people who think evil is abnormal are naive people who believe people are basically good. I can make the argument that great good is as abnormal as great evil. They're both abnormal as it happens. Normal is to do nothing. Normal is to be a coward. I have very little regard for the human race. I've always said this, but I have high regard for humans. I love humans and I don't like the human race. So
isn't that a contradiction?
I'm sorry?
Isn't that a contradiction of some sort?
No, because there are so many wonderful individuals, but the sum total has not been particularly impressive.
Okay, so you think the human race is, let's say, doomed or sinful, but there are individuals, individuals who can actually pull the others with themselves into
they don't always pull the others, but whether they pull the others or not, I've met too many wonderful individuals. By the way, I meet more wonderful individuals than most people because I'm a public figure, and I deal with values that attracts wonderful people to me. The average person doesn't get a chance to meet that many wonderful people. I do a radio show in America. I have for 35 years, every day for 3 hours, 15 hours a week. I talk to millions of people. I've learned a lot from them. I mean, it's a cross-section of humanity. You know what, one of the shocks that I learned years ago, because I do shows on personal issues just as much as political, and I learned how many people do not have a close friend. It was shocking to me. I can't imagine a life without close friends. I'm talking, in my case, male friends, aside from my wife. There are men, I've always had men in my life I've loved and who've loved me. They have been a source of strength in this difficult journey of life. A vast number, can't speak for Hungarians, a vast number of Americans do not have one truly close friend. They have acquaintances, they have people that they can enjoy a movie with, but not that. So I am blessed to know a lot of wonderful people, but they're not common. So, see, let me put it in one other way. I don't want to give such a long answer, but I'll put it in one other way. I've often said, I grew up with a religious education, in my case Jewish. So half the day was in Hebrew religious subjects, half the day was in English secular subjects. It was a real immersion. So I've said to my listeners on my radio show, what's the biggest difference between a Christian education or a Jewish education and a secular education in America? Talk about America. And I said, and my answer has always been, I learned that the biggest problem in Dennis Prager's life is Dennis Prager. In secular schools, you learn that the biggest problem in your life is America.
Right.
It makes a very different human being.
Okay, we're getting a little philosophical, but
I'm very philosophical.
Which is very interesting, and I really enjoy it. But to get back onto a little more, let's say, practical or political track, you're saying that the left is winning the war on America or against America.
Right.
Which is obvious. As for those of us who follow it, we pretty much have the same assessment. Really, in your view, what in the world does the left want? Why are they doing this? Why are they trying to destroy America if that's what they want?
There is no good answer. I feel bad not giving you, I like definitive answers. I've studied the left my whole life since graduate school. The best I can come up with is that there is something in many humans, that hates the better.
Yeah, envy.
That's one obvious, and I think that is a factor. There is the left is ultimately a force for chaos.
Well,
forgive me. Defund the police.
Right.
No normal thinking human being can be for defunding police. There is no other effective way to stop innocent people from being raped, murdered, and robbed from.
Whatever, yeah.
Right. So how could almost every left-wing mayor in America and governor be for defunding police? Because they're okay with chaos. That's why. And because they'll say anything that the New York Times wants them to say, because they're cowards. They're a terrible combination of cowardice, stupidity, and love of chaos.
Well,
okay, yeah.
I think we're getting back to the philosophical.
It all gets back to
field.
Well,
yeah.
you asked me a philosophical question.
Okay,
explain them.
Because then what you're saying would ultimately, at least in my mind, lead to, and probably because I tend to think, and depending on how religious you are, you can elaborate on this. But it is some sort of diabolical plan that the left is implementing.
So you really hit a very sensitive issue for me. As a religious Jew, I have never believed in the devil. Judaism does not posit a devil, even though Satan is in Job, I know that, but it's not the same as the devil. And I want you to know that in the last year and a half, I no longer dismiss the idea.
You have dibbuks, though.
I have what?
The Jewish religion has the dibbuk.
Yeah, but the dibbuk is a legend.
Right.
Yeah, that's not part of Judaism. It's folk legends is folk legends, Judaism is Judaism.
Right.
So
So you're actually becoming a Jew who believes in the devil.
Well, I don't believe, I can't say, but I no longer reject the idea.
That there is an evil entity in the world.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Which is controlling a certain number of people.
Which controls a certain number of people. That's right. Yes, because there is no rational explanation.
Right. Exactly my thought. There is no rational explanation.
Right.
That's why I'm asking you what you think,
right.
why they're doing it, because there is
none.
simply no rational explanation.
There's a rational explanation for leftist leaders. They want power.
Power. money,
Yes.
power. Yeah, absolutely.
So for them, there's a
that's
rational explanation.
But the ideology that they're putting into it and
That's
how they're
right.
trying to destroy
Yes.
everything around them, yeah, your definition or your explanation of the love of chaos, actually, it fits. But if we're talking about Judaism, Christianity and such, tell me one more thing, which I'm really interested to hear your views on, is that it is quite obvious that a lot of Jews, especially in America, who have, the Jews, or especially the secular Jews, have tended to vote left traditionally because of Hitler, because of fascism, because of many different issues that they tend to vote left. Religious Orthodox Jews have tended more to vote right. Of course, this is not black and white, but I'm talking about tendencies. More and more Jews are now realizing that the right is not their enemy. That the conservative Christian right believes in the same things, not just the same biblical things, but the same political things. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, your right to live your life the way you want to. Whereas the left is becoming more and more of an anti-Semite because of their embracement of refugees who are not just Muslims, but who are radical Muslims who want to eradicate Jews, for example. So a lot of the Jews in the world are starting to realize this, but a lot of them are not. They're still voting with their, it's the gut instinct or with their brains closed or whatever. And I think the States is a little bit better off in this sense than, for example, Hungary, although I'm seeing certain hopeful signs. Do you think we have a road ahead that Jews will actually, in general, realize that some of them have been on the wrong side of history?
Yeah, there's hope, but
or is it really secular versus religious Jews?
Yes, it is a secular versus religious. That's exactly correct. Which is another reason I'm pro-religion. Secularism seems to produce a lot of foolishness. So when Jews leave Judaism, they don't stop being religious. They adopt secular religions. That's the rule. The most religious people on earth are Jews. Either
Right.
Judaism or Marxism.
When they stop believing in God, they start believing in Marxism.
That's right. Or its offshoots. Feminism, environmentalism, you name the ism, Jews either founded it or helped lead it. That's right. And it's a disgrace. I'm embarrassed as a Jew to acknowledge this fact. Jews' role in despicable ideologies, Jews need to confront. You can't just be proud of Jewish Nobel Prize winners. You have to be embarrassed by the Jews who gave Stalin nuclear secrets. When Jews leave Judaism, the world suffers. Jews suffer. Look at Soros. Soros is a despicable human being. He is as big a force for evil as exists in the world today, in my opinion, in the Western world. Let's put it that way. And he's a perfect example. He is what is called a non-Jewish Jew.
Yeah.
He has as much connection to Judaism as a Hungarian farmer in rural part of Hungary. None. Zero.
Yeah, and he even admits it.
Oh, he admits it. He's
proud of it, actually.
It's not an attack when I say he's a non-Jewish Jew.
Right.
Some nice
he's proud
people
of it.
are not. Yes, he's proud of it. But he has no mooring. He doesn't ask what is good for America. He doesn't ask what is good for Jews. He doesn't ask what is good for any. He is the guy who funds the people who want to defund police.
Right.
Okay. What sort
who
of
destroys
human
cities
being
and
would want to fund people who want to let criminals out of prison, who then rape again and murder again? Even if you don't believe in the devil, if you're an atheist, he is diabolical.
Right. Okay, so what does he want?
The problem is that Jews defend him because he's a Jew, but he's a scumbag. Jews should not defend Soros. It is not anti-Semitic to attack Soros. Is it anti-Semitic to attack Trotsky? Why is that any different?
But what does he want, Soros?
I don't know what he wants. I don't know if he knows what he wants.
Does he want
he is
revenge?
A force for chaos.
Does he want revenge for his childhood
Maybe
abuse that he has
very
gotten
hard.
from?
I can only tell you that the damage that Jews who have embraced ideologies after rejecting anything Jewish has not been good. There are Jews who reject Judaism and become nothing, so they're not an issue. But when they have substitute convictions that are antithesis of Judaism, it causes the Jews and the world harm. Trotsky's name was Lev, oh God, I forgot his name. He had a Jewish name. Anyway, he went to the chief rabbi of Mazeh, I remember that, and the chief rabbi went to Trotsky and begged him to stop the massacres of Jews in the Russian Civil War and speak out against it. And he told the rabbi, I don't give a hoot. I'm not even a Jew. And then he said, Braunstein, that was his name. He said, the Trotskys start the revolutions and the Braunsteins pay for them. That was a very famous story in modern Jewish history. And that is Soros. Soros starts the revolutions and the average Jew pays the price. So do non-Jews.
Anything we can do? What do we need to do? Do we have hope?
Well, my answer in America, it may or may not be applicable to Hungary, is people have to step up and speak out. They're afraid of the left, and totally understandably. The left will destroy you if they can, if you speak out. They will get you fired, they will get your name ruined, they will do whatever they can to ruin you as a human and ruin your name. However, I always tell people that about 2 weeks after that happens, you will go through hell for about 2 weeks. You will lose friends.
Jobs.
Maybe a job, not always, but certainly support from your employer and your coworkers. However, you will get 2 big rewards.
A lot of weight off your shoulders.
You will sleep better at night. I know this from people who've done it. And you will find allies. You can't go through life without kindred spirits. That's what humans need the most. And if you hide in the closet, you can never find a kindred spirit. So I got a letter exactly 1 year ago. I got a letter. I can't read all my mail, but I caught this one. It's from a young woman who was then a junior, third year at Harvard. Dear Mr. Prager, I just want you to know I read your books, follow you on PragerU, you've changed my life. I am a conservative now. So I thought, that's interesting, a Harvard student writing me this. She lives in Southern California, why don't we meet? She comes to my radio show, and I say to her, would you be willing to say on the radio what you wrote to me? And she said, well, I will lose a lot of friends. Going on Dennis Prager's radio show is like a kiss of death for a lot of people. Can I call my mother? It's very sweet. She stepped out of my office. I continued the show while she spoke to her mother. She came back in and said, I will go on the radio with you. And she explained her change because of things she read and heard. She then told the story on the radio later. I went through 2 weeks of hell. Hell. People dropping me from Twitter accounts, people dropping me from Facebook accounts, being publicly cursed on the internet.
Typical.
And then, Dennis, a peace overcame me, the likes of which I had not experienced, and I met wonderful people whom I didn't even know existed. And now she has never been as happy. She is going to sit in for me. She's the youngest person I've ever had sit in for me on my radio show while I'm here in Hungary. She's going to do it for 3 hours alone. A national radio show. It's unheard of for a 21-year-old. She's extraordinary. But the whole point is, if you're prepared for your 2 weeks of hell, you come out the other end a free individual.
Do you think we could hope for the same thing for Western society or the world in general, is that we have to go through, well, maybe not 2 weeks, maybe longer, of leftist
yes.
hell,
Right.
and then we can actually come out as a phoenix rising.
If everybody fought...
Rod Dreher has that opinion, of course, with the Benedict option.
Yes, if everybody fought the left, we'd win. Most people do not believe men give birth. The left wants you to believe men give birth. It's quite sick.
So after, we just have, even if we lose, because you say we're losing the war, we still need to fight, but we're losing. And if we do lose and the left wins, it's going to be temporary. Let's put the biblical...
No, if the left wins, look, everything in life is temporary. Communism lost in the Soviet Union after 80 years.
Right.
If you're prepared for people to have a gulag and for people to have no freedom for 80 years, you could say, well, the left will lose one day. I don't find that to be in any way comforting. When the left gets power, they don't give it up easily.
Exactly what you said is that the left believes in things like men can give birth, and which is not true. Because the left believes and imposes things which are simply not true. They counter the facts, they counter reality, they counter nature. I think that's the reason why any victory on the left side can only be temporary, because it simply, it will implode in itself because it is based on false foundations. Or maybe you disagree.
The ability of people to believe lies.
Yes, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work forever.
Society will not function.
It doesn't work forever, but it works for a long time. An entire generation of medical students in America is being raised to believe that there is no male-female difference. You don't, in American medical schools, you now say birthing person, not mother, not woman.
I've heard.
Okay. Why do you think that will change in a year?
Not in a year.
Why do you think it'll change in 5 years?
That may not, but in 20 years, when there's this,
you
crazy notion that...
so you said 80 years was too much for temporary, but 20 years is not too much? 20 years
of gulag is too much also.
Right, exactly. So 20 years of teaching doctors not to say women give birth will have devastating effects. 20 years of allowing men who identify as women to compete in women's sports will end women's sports as we know it.
Definitely. So to finish it off, so then Rod Dreher's view is not correct. We cannot go for the Benedict option because we simply cannot lose Western society. We have to keep the fight going.
I think there are a lot of great ideas, but the fact is, even if there's a Benedict option, these are islands in the midst of a sea of lies, a sea of darkness.
But he's saying that that's how, from these islands,
right,
the new Europe rose again,
okay.
and Christianity.
How long did that take?
200 years.
Huh?
200 years.
Right. So you were telling me that you're not talking about 80 years. Now you're talking about 200 years.
Yeah, the time span.
All right, fine, okay. So.
But we can't afford that. You're saying we can't afford to have 200 years of leftism.
It doesn't negate my point that the left is winning. If we're going to retreat into Benedictine monasteries,
well, I mean, Central Europe could be a monastery.
I'm a big fan of Central Europe. I think Poland and Hungary could lead the way with other East European states to saving the West. I've said this a lot in Eastern Europe.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.